ultimate on-demand destination for the UK's best fan-led football podcasts.
Want authentic supporter insight on all things Bournemouth? Follow Up the Cherries in all departments on the TalkSport Fan Network.
Club-dedicated content created by the fans, for the fans.
Search TalkSport Fan Network.
Hello everyone and welcome to the late night football show here. I'm not Matt, as you can probably tell. It's Craig here, and I've of course got Ryan from Huddersfield Fan TV. How are you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm all right, thank you. Yeah, good to be back on. Obviously, had a few weeks off, apologies all, but yeah, obviously circumstances can change. But yeah, it's good to get back up and running now, and obviously plenty to discuss this evening, so excited to get into it.
Most definitely. And we do have a special guest with us as well. We have got Ray Armfield, who is an AFC Wimbledon fan. How are you doing, Ray?
Not too bad, Craig. Hello, Ryan. Yeah, all good.
Excellent. Thank you so much for joining us. And I wanted to touch quickly on AFC Wimbledon as well. It's a club that I have got personally a soft spot for. You know, of course, a lot of people will know the story. A lot of people will know. I'm not going to say a certain club's name during this whole show. We'll refer to them as the franchise because. But do tell us a little bit more about your role within the club, because you do have backstage access as well, don't you?
Yeah, I've got a couple of volunteer hats, really. I think my main and biggest one is to be head of WOPA, which is Wimbledon Old Players Association. It's a former players group. I think you'll find there's more and more going around the country now. It might shock you that the largest one in the country is Southend United.
Is it?
They've got something like 500 players. I didn't found the group. Previous fan did, Mick Pugh. I think he started off with about 120 players. Sadly, he passed away a year or two ago. I didn't want all his hard work going to waste. He was a bit of a bits of paper man, so I thought I'd pick it up, put it on social media, and I think we're now approaching 400. The last time I looked. It's a very active group. We've got pockets of players covering maybe the top nine leagues in English football. So we've got players ranging from FA Cup winners, England players, right down to people who've played maybe one London Senior Cup game for us, but we treat them all the same. And my other hat is I do stadium tours of Plough Lane. So I'm hoping one or two of you can come on that. We can show you things for real.
Yeah, most definitely. And I will definitely come down as well, Ray. But what I wanted to do was discuss this season with you to start off with. We do have a couple of people here as well. Just going to give them some shout outs. So Blue Terrier 19, welcome to the show. Can someone remind me what Nathan Jones is?
A bit of a dig over this week. Yeah, absolutely. Big up Blue.
It's a Panorama song, isn't it?
I think it is, isn't it? And Joshua Owen, good to have you with us as well. Thank you for joining us. So I'll tell you what, let's get stuck into it. So AFC Wimbledon, at the moment, Ray, you are 9th in League Two. Are you happy with the position at the moment and manager Johnny Jackson?
Yes and yes. I think if you offered me this after maybe 15 games at the start of the season, I would have said yes. I think we're maybe a tinge of regret we didn't quite make the playoffs last year. I think anything less than that this year might be seen as sort of failure. As I think you might touch on later, the sort of flood at Plough Lane has caused us issues. We've missed a couple of games, so we're playing catch up now. But even though we've taken 1 point from 9 from our last 3 home games. I think we're still in the position where if we did play catch up and get maximum points, we'd be knocking on the door of the automatic spots. So it's still very much there for us if we want it.
Before November, your home form in particular was very, very strong. I think you won every single game that you played at home, didn't you?
We did, yeah. I think at one point we got to be the last team out of the 92 with a 100% record, and all the blurb went out Fortress Plough Lane, and I thought, that's going to bite us a bit, and it has recently. But yeah, it's been nice to see us put good shows on in front of our own fans, because for the last maybe 18 months or so, it's almost been the reverse of that. You had to go away to see us play better.
Yeah.
So in some respects, it's nice to see more of that more of our fans can see as well.
It's always difficult, I think, when a club transitions into a new stadium. And I think there is always that bedding in time. But of course, there was the story, and just to touch upon, the story and the dark times. I might as well give it over to you, Ray, because I think, I remember Wimbledon at Selhurst Park, and before that, the old Plough Lane.
Yep.
Firstly, do you think that the Borough of Merton back then really helped the club, or do you think that they just let the club to rot really without this stadium?
I think back in the day, we kind of had the wool pulled over our eyes by Sam Hammam a bit.
Yeah.
Because the sort of deal was that there was a covenant on the old Plough Lane, which one of our chairmen from the 1950s put on, ostensibly to try and stop what happened actually happening.
Yeah.
There were two conditions on it. We couldn't sell the ground for more than the £8,000 odd pounds that he played for it. And also sport had to be played there. So we thought, well, in the modern day, that's about as watertight as you can get. But Sam persuaded, cajoled, threatened Merton Council to lift the covenant, which he bought for £100,000. That enabled him then to sell Plough Lane, which he did for something around 8 million, on the pretense that he was going to put that into a pot and build us a new stadium.
Yeah.
And of course he trousered the money, and we never saw it again, and we never got our ground. So that led us into going to Selhurst Park, where, yes, on the field success carried on, but off the field we were still very vulnerable, and eventually we got picked off, vulture-like.
Sam Hammam was a very, very different sort of chairman, wasn't he? I remember some of the things that he got up to. Was the elephant on the pitch? That was true, wasn't it?
It was true, yes.
Yeah. What was, do you think he always had it in his mind? And there is talk, with, fans up and down the Football League still. And this is why the EFL needs to bring in an independent regulator. I know Niall Cooper, who leads Fair Game, which is a great organisation. It was one that I did try and help out a little bit, but unfortunately it ran out a little bit of time to do so myself. But, I think this is why the independent regulator needs to happen, because you look at the likes of, we had Reading fan on, a couple of weeks back, and the situation there is, does their owner really want to sell the football club? Does he just want the assets? And they've got that covenant against their stadium and their training ground to kind of protect it. But these owners seem to be able to do what they want. Or do you think it has got better because of the Wimbledon situation back then?
I think it has got better, and hopefully, I know there's going to be a clause in that bill that's going through Parliament and the House of Lords called the Wimbledon clause, hopefully to try and stop what happened to us happening to somebody else. But just going back to Sam, I think I've seen the good and bad side of him over the years.
Yeah.
And I think his intentions when he first bought into the club was just to have a bit of fun with it. I think he sort of bought into the early crazy gang ethos quite well. And I mean, there's all sorts of stories of him having silly bets with the players and taking penalties in his £500 suits and stuff. But I think when the advent of the personality chairman started, suddenly Chelsea became Ken Bates's Chelsea and David Dean's Arsenal and people like that. I think he quite liked the idea of being Sam Hammam Wimbledon. And obviously our rise through the league, I think suddenly the business side of him made his eyes light up and he realised there was money to be made as well.
And what a rise it was. You know, of course, I wasn't even born when Wimbledon got into the Football League, but the rise up to the Premier League was like nothing. I don't think we'll ever see it again. That sort of story. Not in this.
Again, no. I mean, as I tell on my stadium tours, I've been lucky enough, if you like, to sort of ride the roller coaster twice from non-league football into the Football League. And I think when I last checked, I've seen a Wimbledon team play in 12 different divisions, which we kind of market the sort of tour as the greatest story, which I personally think it is. But I think the unique story is certainly, you know, par for the course. You can't argue with that. I mean, my son's 35 now, and he's a lifelong Wimbledon fan, and he's seen us play in the top 9 divisions of English football, and there is no other club, another club's fan base that can claim that.
As a Bournemouth fan, I've only ever seen us play in 4, which is the 4 top leagues, but which I thought was quite a lot. But of course, it's such a tremendous story, and seeing as we're talking about it now, we're not going to talk about what happens, and of course the move to the place that shan't be named, but the formation of AFC Wimbledon and how did the fans get together? And it's something that is, because back in the day I was scared, because it could happen to any club. I remember seeing Selhurst Park, and it was on the old ITV Sport, if I remember. ITV Digital. There was footage, and of course, no Wimbledon fans were in Selhurst Park, or very, very few. How did it all come together, and who really initiated that?
Well, it was all very manic, and you have to think back into 2002, social media was nothing like what it is now. So really, from when the dirty deed happened on the 28th of May to 2002, I think there was a kind of plan B. Well, if it all goes bandy, then this is what we're going to have to do, is like go again. So there's talk of like 4 founding fathers, but really it was a much wider thing than that. But the sort of crazy thing was that we had a fan base who were mostly brought up on Premiership and Championship football, and suddenly we had to contact them by any means possible and say, we've got no ground, we've got no players, we've got no manager, and we've got no league to play in. Could you give us £200 for a season ticket, please? And people did so. I mean, within 10 days we had like £70,000, and that was our fighting fund. But we still had, I think it was 81 days to get a club together from ground zero and get them into a league. And it was just manic, and people did what they could when they could. But it really did bring us all together. And I think the good side of it now is that whenever we're attacked by anyone or anything, we all come together and push back against it as one, really.
No, that's something I have seen on X, and of course, where my loyalties lie, Ray, with regard to this. I've also got involved in this, and got called a naughty name from the franchise fan at one point, but it's what is what was wrong, to do that to a football club, to move them. It's an Americanized model, that they followed. And hopefully, it's will never ever happen again. And I won't mention the man who initiated it, but even he come out recently and said he regrets how that football club started.
Yeah. I'd take that with a slight pinch of salt, because if it wasn't us, it could have been Queen's Park Rangers who we approached. It could have been Barnet, and it could have been Luton. And I think he likes to paint the picture that he suddenly rode into town and made everything good. But we've got the receipts that he registered the website domain MK Dons 2 years prior to everything happening. So clearly it was at the back of somebody's mind, and that just didn't suddenly happen.
And I understand that a lot of AFC Wimbledon fans will not go there. They will not go to that stadium, even, for an away game. Is that something that you share as well?
Personally, yes, but it's a wide spectrum, really. We're not a single sentient being as a fan base. There are some that will go home and away and relish it almost, and there's some that won't go to home or away. And even my own view has changed over the years. I have not and would not never go there. But at Kings Meadow, our previous ground, I saw us at home against them, so I've seen us beat them. I've seen us lose against them. But strangely, since we've been at Plough Lane, I can't face seeing them at home games either. Perhaps it's because I've got a relationship with the stadium, showing people around it often, but I just cannot bear the thought of seeing them in there, as if their presence sort of soils it in some way. So my own view has shifted, and I think it probably has for lots of fans as well.
And I guess it was the traditional home of Wimbledon, Plough Lane. And for them to, I guess I can see exactly why fans have got that feeling that they can't bear to walk into that stadium when they visit.
But that's just me, yeah. And what a lot of people don't realise is, I mean, they know the site of where we play now as the site of the old Greyhound Stadium, which was there from 1928. But not that many people know that in the 1912 season, years before that stadium was built, there was a football pitch on there, and Wimbledon's football team played on it. And it was only the fact that a league official came around and measured the pitch and said that's not large enough, you need to move, made us have our 20th move, I think, a couple of 100 yards down the road to the old Plough Lane that people know well. So when we came back to our current site, it really was coming home in every sense, because we were there years before anyone else was.
Yeah, I completely agree. And it's a tremendous effort to get the club back to that level. And everybody at AFC Wimbledon should be very, very proud of what they've achieved in such a quick period of time. It's only, the club is 22 years old. 22 years old. And to get from that 9th tier, it took, am I right in thinking 2013, wasn't it, when the Luton playoff final, if I'm right in thinking?
2011 was the playoff
2011.
final. There's a famous terrace song, it only took 9 years, and it did, but it does slightly irk me a bit when I see fans of bigger clubs, particularly Premier League fans, sort of going, well, if things go bad, we'll just go off and form our own club because Wimbledon did it, and it's easy, isn't it? It isn't easy. It was a lot of hard work, and it must be said that other clubs have trod the same path as well, because Aldershot did it and came back, Newport did it and came back, Rushden and Diamonds did it from the same level, and we've done it also. So even these days, being in supposedly the depths of non-league football isn't the end of the world. There is scope for meritocracy in football still, but it still needs to be encouraged, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Well, of course, I've been having a little look as well at the results. We did mention the really, really good home form until recently. But you've also got the second best defence in the league. Do you think that you can get back into League One this season?
I think we can. Yeah, I've maybe not seen everybody who I think might be up the top. I think at the start of the season, I looked at a few squads on paper, and I thought Port Vale, they look good, and so it's proved so far. But I think beyond them, one or two teams I think have still gone under the radar. Crewe and even Walsall, who beat us yesterday. They weren't maybe on the forefront of people's minds when people talk about promotion prospects, and maybe not even us as well. I think in most leagues, people will always look towards the moneyed clubs.
Yeah.
So I'm still quite surprised to see Salford floundering a bit. But can we? Yes. Will we? Well, that's a separate question. But there's seven places up for grabs to give you a chance, and I will be disappointed if we're not in one of them.
Yeah. No, I can understand. And of course, you did go through the playoffs last time round when you got into League One. Again, tremendous achievement when you beat Plymouth Argyle, wasn't it?
Yeah, 2016. Yeah, it seems a while ago now, but yeah, that was a real old school Wimbledon day, because I think Plymouth sort of turned up in their suits, thinking that they just had to turn up. They brought more fans than sort of we did, but our players were very focused, and I think they kind of knew that if they played anywhere near their form, they would win, and so it happened. A lot of our fans will say we maybe should still be there, because the season that we finally dropped, there were so many chances for us to avoid the trapdoor, which we didn't take, and eventually we did go down. And being your first relegation for a long time, and the first one in the AFC Wimbledon years, it stung a bit, but it just proves that we're, in that respect, we're like most other clubs. We're not immune from it, and what doesn't kill you makes us stronger. And I think if we are fortunate to go back up, we will be stronger in many ways.
And if I'm right in thinking as well, Ray, and this is me casting my mind back to actually studying the old Wimbledon. The old Wimbledon also did that, where they were relegated from what was Division 3 into Division 4.
Yeah, we did play yo-yo a few times. From the second season in the Football League, we went up and down from the old 4th to 3rd twice. And the last time we did keep faith with a promising young manager called Dave Bassett.
Yes.
Which, of course, was the best thing we ever did, because a few years later he got 4 promotions in 5 years and got us into what's now the Premier League, and then kept us there, got us to finish 6th when everyone tipped us to go back down. And I think we're still the only top flight team who's won at Liverpool, Man United and Arsenal in the same season. So we're still there in the record books, like us or not.
Yeah. Well, we can't do that this season because we've already been beaten by Liverpool. I'm quite happy with the wins against Arsenal and Man City, though, so far. Yeah. But beggars can't be choosers. But there is the league table as it stands. It's very, very tight, isn't it? You can see I've done it from 7th to 17th.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very, very tight in there. And of course, on a lot of the teams around you, you have got games in hand.
We have, yeah. Obviously, we've got one Tuesday night against Tranmere, which I think if we won would stick us in the playoff place. But I think our other rearranged game from the flood is not until February. So we might not see the fruits of that for a while. But yes, you're right. There's a big bunch of clubs, and it doesn't take much, just a couple of wins to sort of dramatically make the table look very different. And we've kind of missed the boat a bit the last couple of games. So I'm hoping that we might pull off a win Tuesday, and then it all looks brighter, doesn't it?
Of course. And we had an international break recently, but I did take the opportunity to actually watch your game up at Barrow as well, which was on the Sky Red button or Plus or whatever they call it now.
Yeah.
As the early kickoff, and a very, very good performance. Of course, went 1-0 up, they equalised, but you really, really, really was in control after that point, weren't you?
Yeah, I know you mentioned earlier about the defence. I think what we've really gone for the last couple of years, and I've got to pay tribute to the man that's made that possible, and that's now our director of football with his new hat, Craig Cope. He's brought in men rather than boys to do certain jobs. The last couple of years, our squad seemed to have one or two star players that would get picked off and had been picked off. So people like Ayuba Sal and Ali Al Hamadi. But we're a much more solid squad now, and there's no real stars in it. But they're all sort of 20, 25, 27 types who've got a few games under their belt without being high mileage type players. So there's a lot in the sort of prime of their careers, really. And it's just about keeping them together and maybe just adding one or two in the January window, because that's all we really need, I think, just a tweak rather than wholesale surgery or something. Yeah.
No, fair enough. Well, one thing I did want to discuss was this situation that did happen on the 22nd of September. And it was horrible to see the pictures. But do you know what was heartening was that everybody got together, and it wasn't just Wimbledon fans that got together. I think it was fans of the majority of clubs actually donated to, and it shows that there is a love across the whole country for AFC Wimbledon because of what the club's been through. But what was the story with this, and how did it all happen?
Well, when the stadium got built, we were warned, and we didn't know that the site was a floodplain because the old stadium flooded in the 1960s. But we did have that in mind. Under the pitch, I understand there's a crisscross of pipework and a big what's called attenuation tank, which really is like an overflow thing. But we did go through all the local water authority checks for what was meant to be the known risk. But what actually happened was the local River Wandle, while it didn't burst, I think its levels got to like a 56-year high on one rainy night. Nowhere for the water to go. That plus 3.5 weeks worth of water fell in 9 hours, and literally there was nowhere for the rain to go. And as I mentioned earlier, if you think of these science experiments that you see at school and stuff, people who drop Mentos into a bottle of Pepsi and watch it pop up, that's pretty much what you can see there and what I think has happened. So there's a bit of remedial work to be done, but we have got the pitch playable now. And I'm a fine one to talk about wigs, obviously, but you can't quite see the join where the pitch was sort of damaged, and we did get it repaired quick enough not to need a ground share somewhere, which was our biggest worry. But perhaps there'll be some fuller remedial work done during the summer. But all we can plan for is what we know, really. But most of the damage that's sort of visible on a match day has been repaired now, but the water did get everywhere. Literally all the office space, our museum, which will be out of action until January now. So it's just the mopping up work that's done there. But you're right about the community coming together, because I think I counted 125 different clubs that we recognised donations for, and I would like to mention one of them, which was £10 worth of pocket money from a young lad called Alfie Harrison, who plays for Lichfield City under 10s. And he said, here's my pocket money. I hope you fix your pitch. And I thought, that was lovely, because it came in just after it happened, when we were all at our lowest points. Yeah. And cynical old me thought, I really hope that's a real one. And I made a couple of phone calls and realised it was, and I got through to the Lichfield coach, and he said, "Yeah, Alfie's a lovely lad, lovely family," and eventually put us in touch with his dad. And I just thought, we need to get them down and say thank you properly. I was thinking maybe a tour or tickets for a game or something. And one of our other fans, Ian Robinson, said, "Well, if you can bring him down, I'll pay for him to be a mascot." So the recent Grimsby home game, he and his family came down, and Alfie was a mascot. So that's a lovely story that's come out of something, sad and tragic. Because had it not happened, we'd have never have met him.
No, exactly. And it shows what a lovely community club AFC Wimbledon are as well. With regards to the Plough Lane, the new Plough Lane, you can expand it as well, because one of the stands, if I'm right in thinking, is expanded up to its capacity, or can it be expanded more? But the other 3 you can expand on.
Yeah, one's been built to last, if you like. That's our permanent stand, which is the main one. We've got 3 other what's called semi-permanent stands. They can be there up to 50 years. And people joke about them. They are a bit like big, massive Meccano sets. You can put them up and take them down in a week if you had to.
Yeah.
But the stadium footprint does allow for 4 of those big permanent main stands to wrap all the way round. So I think the original plan was to have something like a Loftus Road or something. So quite compact to keep the atmosphere in, but still big enough. I think it would hold maybe 19,000. And the idea was, if the Premier League rules were still 20,000 minimum, I'm sure we could squeeze 1,000 more seats in there one day. But obviously, that one day is down the road a long way. We've built what we can afford so far, and we might have to look at other ways of doing that. But we haven't quite finished paying for what we've built yet. So first things first.
No, fair enough. We've got a temporary stand ourselves, and of course, we played in a 3-sided ground for years and years, so we couldn't fill the 3 sides that we had. So, fingers crossed, you can continue to build and, of course, get promotion. But let's have a little look at the big wins as well this season. And there has been some big wins. Of course, we mentioned the Barrow win, but also the Colchester victory. That was the opening day of the season, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah. Very, very pleased with that one, because there was a few players who've almost swapped sides, who played for both sides last year. So it was nice to get off to a good start. But the Carlisle win, I think their current manager now used to manage at another side. He managed to serve up probably the worst opposition I've seen in many a year, and I'm not shocked where they are in the table right now. So I wouldn't be shocked if there's another change, maybe in January. Morecambe also, they were down there, but they showed a bit more about them. And as you saw yesterday, they won at Swindon. So it's not a case of two teams being adrift already. I think it's going to be a bit of a dogfight down there. I'm just relieved that this year and last year we weren't involved, because it was nice not to have to sort of grab your phone and see where the bottom 2 were every Friday at 5 o'clock. It was a welcome change. So.
Yeah, I can understand. And of course, there's wins over Cheltenham and Fleetwood. We will mention other wins as well in a moment. But beating Ipswich Town as well on penalties in the Carabao Cup, very, very impressive.
Yes, that was a strange night, because obviously we're still in the mindset, we played them in League One a few years ago, but suddenly they're a top flight team. They've got one of our star strikers for us who scored after about three minutes, and I thought it's going to be a long night. And perhaps I was having a senior moment, but I didn't realise that there was no extra time anymore. So it was straight to penalties at 90 minutes. I thought, oh yeah, and I thought our keeper's a bit handy at saving penalties, and he saved a couple, and on we went. And we've been fairly lucky to get quite decent draws in that competition in recent years, because we've had games against Arsenal and Chelsea as well. But obviously, the FA Cup next Saturday gives us a big chance to get into round 3, which would be really nice. Romance of the cup and all that, but in cold hard cash terms, it's 60,000 for being on television against Dagenham and 75,000 prize money if we win. So that and getting into round 3 are probably equal.
I'm going to throw out a question here. Of course, Wimbledon famously won the FA Cup, and that game against Liverpool. Am I right? 1988.
1988. Yes, I was there.
Yep.
Of course. Yeah.
I remember seeing. I didn't watch it live. Of course, I
Yes,
was 3 years
I was
old.
there. Yeah.
But but I have seen it since. And of course, it was that underdog spirit, wasn't it? Again, which served you so well. But talking about the FA Cup, do you feel that this season, because they've got rid of replays, it's kind of destroyed it a little bit?
A little bit, yeah. I've been asked that a few times about the sort of magic of the cup as it used to be, but we've all got visions of when we were kids. I mean, you'd sit in front of a television, and the FA Cup final would be a special event that maybe started at 11 in the morning, with like build up and it's a cup final knockout and stuff like that. But now it just seems to have lost that spark, I think, when it comes to final day. And I think maybe the writing was on the wall when they started holding semi-finals at Wembley as well, which I think devalued the competition slightly as well. But if you try and sort of convince lower league clubs that getting rid of a replay means Premier League teams can have a bit of a rest between games, and then you see them go off on a jaunt to Saudi Arabia or somewhere to play a friendly, you think, well, why are we doing this? Who gets the benefit here? It's maybe 5 or 6 clubs out of the 700 who enter it every year.
It's such a shame, that we don't see more smaller clubs, get into, finals and semi-finals. I remember Wickham did it, quite a few years ago, didn't they?
They did, yeah.
If I'm right, did Chesterfield do it when I was
Chesterfield
young?
did it, yeah. And probably should have beaten Middlesbrough. Was that 97, I think? Yes. Because Wimbledon got to the other semi-final. And,
And then, of course, Cardiff and Millwall went one further, didn't they? And they actually made the final. But I think both occasions, if I'm right in thinking, it was Manchester United, wasn't it, that beat them? Yeah.
I mean, it's always good to see smaller clubs and particularly non-league teams having good FA Cup runs as well. I mean, last year there was Maidstone, and there's always a club somewhere that maybe puts themselves on the map. And Wimbledon know that more than ever, because we've got a 50-year reunion dinner in January coming up at Plough Lane for the team that got us from the Southern League to the 4th round, beating Burnley and playing Leeds on the way. And that really put Wimbledon as an entity on the map for something other than tennis and the Wombles. So the importance of the FA Cup to a small team and what it can do in sort of tangible benefits can't be understated. Even in 2024, it is still massive for some teams.
Well, let's look as well at 2 other results. And I'm not using their logo. Beating the franchise. So, of course, 3-0 at home in the league, and then 2-0 at, should we just call it the plastic bowl? Or the empty bowl, or whatever you want.
Call it what you want. It's your show.
The toilet seat. But you beat them 2-0 there to get through to the second round of the FA Cup. We've spoken a bit about the dislike of them. Can you ever see it ever getting better?
No. Next question. I think maybe not for people like me who still carry the scars of when the dirty deed happened. Maybe younger fans might start seeing it as just a rivalry, but I think that day is maybe some way off. I know the FA have tried to sort of mediate between the two clubs, but it's still covered by some non-disclosure agreement, so we never know what the terms of it are. But even 20 years on, they don't come in our boardroom and we don't go in theirs. And I don't see that situation changing soon, although you did make reference to a certain somebody who's just left their club, and he was a bit of a lightning rod for a lot of the hatred. So perhaps that's a way of going forward in the future, but it won't be in a hurry, no.
Do you think it would matter if they dropped the Dons from their name?
Well, I see that as a double-edged sword, really, because part of me wants them to, because really they should be called Milton Keynes City now.
Yeah.
But also part of me thinks I quite like them having that for two reasons. One, it reminds people of what they did. And secondly, it's a bit of an albatross around their necks, and it's an easy stick for people to beat them with, really. So I'm not really in either camp about that. If they want to change it, it's a gesture, but would it stop me hating them? No.
No, fair enough. And hopefully, fingers crossed, you'll get a third win later on this season at the Toilet Bowl when you play them next as well.
It'd be lovely, yeah. I mean, the manner and the margin of the first game surprised me a bit. But I think just as important, really, was the fact that we won there in a game where they hyped it up a lot. You know, this is our revenge, and it wasn't. So yes, the league points are more important, but I think the manner of that FA Cup win was to be savoured a bit more, if you like.
Yeah, and the players understood it as well, didn't they?
They did.
Went
yes.
mad. It
yes.
was brilliant to see. It was brilliant to see, and
Yep.
you know, I absolutely loved every moment. And like I say, you know, it's great to see AFC Wimbledon doing so well. And I'm pretty sure I can speak for 99% of fans, because that 1% they probably got, or it's probably even less than that. That if they were to drop out of the Football League, I don't think that I'd shed a tear at all.
It'd be very, very poignant, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would. Yes,
because all the talk years ago was, we can't, take a team from nowhere into the Football League. I think the actual phrase they used was it was too tortuous a route, and they were talking like nobody else had done it or could do it. And then we showed them that it could be done in 9 years without throwing pots of money at it either. But I think the one phrase that sort of spurred us on for the last 20 years was the final judgment by the FA panel that allowed them to move, and it said us starting again wouldn't be in the wider interests of football, and that one really stung, to the extent that the holding company which actually owns Plough Lane now is called In the Wider Interests of Football Limited. So that's a bit of a reminder as well.
Yeah, no, most definitely. Well, it's not only your good cup performance, though, albeit this one did end up in defeat. But watch this game, and Newcastle and Eddie Howe had a strong team out there, and they were lucky to get through this.
Yeah. Just the one goal. Again, I think if you'd offered us that, we probably have taken your hand off. And obviously the large crowd and the 45% share of that which we got was very handy as well as giving fans and players a big night out, which smaller clubs love on and off the pitch. But I think they sort of put their mark on the game by not letting us have the ball for large periods of time. But I think we kind of thought that was how it was going to go, really. A little tinge of regret that we didn't maybe have a bit of a go in the last 5 or 10 minutes when there was nothing to lose. But overall it was a good night, and I think we made lots of friends there as well. which is nice.
Yeah, definitely. So, of course, the last bit is, can you return to League One? I know we've spoken about it briefly, but do you think you need to do much in January to actually get yourself across the line, either be it via the playoffs or, automatically?
Yeah. As we mentioned earlier, can we? Yes. Will we? I'm not sure. But I think if you look at the maths at the current table, it's not out of the question by any means. It just needs any one of those teams to put a run together, and that's what it's all about. Really, is consistency in this league. I think if we can keep our better players in the window, which we sometimes haven't done, and maybe just get one or two in sort of key areas. I'd be disappointed if we can't finish in the top 7. And as we've seen a couple of times over our recent history, it's often the team that just creeps into 7th and has the momentum that goes on and goes up. So if that happened to us, I wouldn't bet against us.
Well, fingers crossed. I really, really, really do hope you do it. And, can I just say one thing that, I absolutely love football shirts. I get all 3 of the Bournemouth ones every single season. And I absolutely love that away shirt that you've got this season. The light blue, and it's brown as well,
yes,
isn't it?
it is, yeah.
What a shirt is that? Well, is there a meaning behind that as well?
There is, yes. When the club first started, it was a case of wear what you can when you can back in 1889. And I think that shirt's based on our 1893 season, when for one season we wore sky blue and chocolate, which we wore now. So I think if we're going to keep following that route, our next one's going to be green and black stripes, and then maybe black and white after that, before we stayed with the blue that most people know us now. So it's not just a random one. There is a bit of history behind it all. We've got one of our founding fathers, Mark Jones, to thank for that, because he's our kit man, and he always comes up with something nice. So it's a good seller, I think. So.
Yeah, I might even treat myself to one actually as well, so when I come down. But yeah, I will definitely come round for a tour, because I tell you what, it's something that I want to. When we spoke over X before, it's something that I really, really want to do, because of course I followed Wimbledon's story. Throughout my childhood, I remember the days of Robbie Earle, Jason Ewell, of course, Vinny, who can forget Vinny, Dennis Wise, all those players. And of course, Effa Kuka as well, who we've spoken to. So yeah, I definitely want to come round and, look forward to doing that once the museum is back open.
You'll be very welcome. Say our target date for doing that's the 31st of January, when we're hoping that our 1975 team will come down and formally open it. It's going to come back bigger and better, and we'll go from there. And we'd love to see you down there.
Yeah, fantastic. I'll speak to you as well, and I'll work out when you're going to be doing the tour, and I'll come down that day.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. No, thank you so much for going through that with us, Ray. You're more than welcome to stay with us. It's entirely up to you. But we are going to cover Manchester United and Leicester City and results as well. So I tell you what, let's get stuck into that, Ryan. Let's bring that up. So of course, Amorim is now at Manchester United. Ryan, well, what do you make of this? What do you make of his appointment? And there was a lot of funny memes coming out as well. I don't know whether or not you saw them. When he beat Pep Guardiola, he had to do that for his last game, didn't he?
No. Look, I think it's a good appointment, to be fair. I think it's an exciting one. The other thing is, I think United really should have tried to get him in the summer rather than now. Because I think he really did need to get a pre-season under his belt, to be honest with you. Because, like they're coming now, he doesn't really help things. So I think the indecisiveness of Ineos have cost United another season, really, another waste of a season, this. But look, I think United are definitely in safe hands with him. I think it's an exciting project that he's going to develop. And if you give him time, he'll certainly do things. Look at the team that look at the Sporting team that he really well drilled into. That team work, team ethic. And to win what he did over there is no mean feat. Yes, the Premier League is a different level, but still, he's still done very well. So I also like his personality and his character as well. I don't know if you've seen a few of his press stuff recently, but seems like he's such a likable person, someone that you could play for, if he was your manager. Exactly. So, but look, he's got his ideas. We saw a bit of that today, obviously with the formation change. But it's not going to be an overnight thing. So, yeah, I think this is definitely an exciting appointment. I think the correct one.
Yeah, it's an interesting one though for me, and this is the reason why. I'm just going to flick over to the next screen. This is Ten Hag's record at Manchester United. Now, if you look at his record at Ajax, and then we go back to Amorim, to be honest, Ten Hag had a better record. The other thing as well that, I do want to point out is that both of these managers they never have managed in England beforehand. They only, and albeit, Ten Hag had a little bit of time at Bayern, only managed in their home country. And my concern is with Amorim, yes, he can do it in Portugal. He's shown that he's a very, very astute coach. But Ray, here's a question for you, because as a club that have predominantly employed British managers, do you think that this is a major concern for a club like Man United to bring somebody in, however good their record is abroad, and expect them to make it work pretty much overnight? Because he's not going to get much time there, is he?
Well, it seemed to be a pretty done deal fairly quickly. As soon as Ten Hag left, there was a bit of who might get the job. Suddenly his name emerged and there he was. So yeah, I kind of think this was thought about a week or two prior to it happening. But you've got to look at the guy's win ratio there. It's very, very impressive, isn't it? As you say, whether he can replicate that in English football remains to be seen. But no, I think most fans just want a winning manager. If you take it up to national level, nobody's going to be bothered about Thomas Tuchel if he wins England something.
Exactly.
And I think the same's going to happen here.
There's been a lot of people going on and saying, oh, well, a German manager in charge of England and all that. But I think he'd be an honorary Englishman if he did win us the World Cup, wouldn't he?
Yeah. Well, he's not breaking ground, is he? I mean, we've had Sven and Capello as well, so it might be a bigger thing if he was the first one. But no, I think people got behind both of those two when they were having good runs of form, particularly Sven. I mean, you saw the sort of respect he had when he sadly passed away. Mm-hmm. No, I think fans will rally around anyone who brings in results.
Yeah, well, hopefully, fingers crossed for Man United fans, he will bring in results, apart from when they play ours truly in a couple of weeks' time. But yeah, I think it's an interesting appointment. Sometimes so. I'm always viewing it as be careful what you wish for from Man United fans, because I think that Moyes should have had a little bit longer there. I think, going back to that time, I think Sir Alex Ferguson knew that the golden generation at Man United was coming to an end. He was decided to end his managerial career on a high. Can't blame him at all. But I just feel that if Moyes had been kept in charge, I think he would have actually picked it up and, helped Manchester United grow into something. Because Ferguson, Ray, you'll probably be able to remember this, he wasn't successful at first, was he?
No, I can recall, I think only Mark Robins' goal at Oxford really saved his job in the Littlewoods Cup, as it was then many years ago, because there were huge calls for him to go because, as you say, he didn't start particularly well. I think what maybe United need to do and should have maybe done a bit more in recent years is not do what United allowed Matt Busby to do years ago, and that's sort of lurk in the shadows almost, because he had such a good record. He should have, I think, with hindsight, stepped away totally, because those managers that followed straight after him had a difficult job. And I think it's been the same with Ferguson as well, because you've got two dynastic managers really who've been there years, and they're both very hard acts to follow. So my sort of thoughts about Amorim is, well, if it wasn't him, who else would they have gone for?
No, most definitely. And we do have some comments as well here. Joshua Owen, to be fair, there was no better manager out there in the summer than Ten Hag. So I get why they kept him, but it would have been better to appoint him in the summer. I believe that he'll be given the time, because we're not going to win the league immediately. It'll take a couple of years and more players. I love this appointment. As a Manchester United fan, he is highly regarded and has a vision of how he wants to play, and more quality players needed to be added to the squad as well. And let's talk about somebody else who has lost his job, which is Steve Cooper. And what I'm going to do as well is we do have another special guest from the Tranmere Rovers show in. Hello, mate. You all right?
Hello. You all right?
Yeah, all good. Good to see you with us. So I'll tell you what, let's take it back to you, Ryan, with regards to this. Steve Cooper, what's gone wrong?
I don't really know. Was it ever the correct fit at Leicester? And you know what I mean? And I just don't know. I don't know what really merited him getting the job in the first place, really. If you get me, I probably would have gone for somebody else. And it just has seemed like it's just been flat since he came through the door. So I don't think the fans particularly took to him very well either, did they? But Leicester. It's a strange one, isn't it? I don't really know, but I'm not surprised, because they have been struggling, and I think Leicester fans just want something new. But he hasn't been there long, has he, either?
No, he joined at the start of the season, of course, Enzo Maresca.
That's right.
Yeah, Enzo Maresca left the club to go to Chelsea, brought in Steve Cooper. I don't know whether or not Chris from Leicester Till I Die is actually having a joke here. Big Sam for Leicester. I think he might be taking the piss there, but Tranmere Rovers Fan TV. Who would you pick to come in at Leicester City?
Van Nistelrooy, because he beat them. He got a Man United team to beat them 5-2 the other week. Simple. Van Nistelrooy, purely because my Premier League team's Man United, and I just think he's the right man. I think he made Man United play some of the most exciting football I've seen them play in a while. Obviously, today wasn't that exciting, but I definitely think he had an effect. That first game he managed as an interim at Man United was so good, but. Definitely Van Nistelrooy, I think.
I should ask you now. I do apologise. I didn't realise that your Premier League club was Man United, but happy with Amorim? Yeah.
It's the first time I felt optimistic.
Fair enough.
Since
Ferguson, or did you say?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, since Alex Ferguson. I mean, I watched his first interview with Gary Neville, and that thing that he said, the one idea. I mean, I think it's a really clever way of playing football. He just sounded like he wasn't trying to big himself up. He wasn't trying to just be we're going to do this, blah 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 blah. It was more, I'm all with the team now. They've got to. I've got to get a message across, and the message has got to be right. I hope it goes well for him, but if they keep on playing like the way they did today, then I think it's going to be a long shot.
No, fair enough. I think there's going to be that transition period, to be honest, mate. I think, it's going to take a little bit of time to get it going. Ten Hag has struggled, so to speak, but I think, I think he will get it right. Ray, with regards to Steve Cooper, were you surprised to see him sacked by Leicester City so quickly?
Quite so quickly, yeah. I think Leicester's probably stuck between a rock and a hard place now. What they daren't do is go down, I think. So really, you're looking for a manager. It depends really how long term and patient they are. I think if you're looking to sort of build, and not so much don't mind going down, but can maybe look 2 or 3 years ahead, I would go for someone like Potter or Carsley, because I think he could build a club, whereas someone like Moyes might be a quick fix. I mean, someone joked about Big Sam there, but I mean, if we were having this chat in April maybe, and they had 5 or 6 games left to stay up, he'd be the man to bring in, wouldn't he?
Well, yeah. They did it
so
with Dean Smith, didn't they? Before,
yeah.
Okay.
It's really how patient and how far they want to plan ahead, I think. But of that list, I would go for Potter, I think.
Yeah, I think you're probably quite right. I think
Big
Potter,
Warnock as well.
Yeah.
Neil Warnock.
Neil Warnock. Where is he at the moment? I don't know where Neil Warnock is. I think he's at Torquay. He's like
the co-owner of Torquay, isn't he?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it's something like that. I know a Torquay fan, every now and again I see him in the shop and he always talks about it. And he said, Neil Warnock's going to get it right one of these days. He said he's going to get it right there. So, yeah, fingers crossed he does get it right in the end, because it'd be quite nice to see Torquay back in the Football League. But I think it seems to be like it's going to be some way off. Joshua said that he hopes Rude gets the Leicester job. I hope he gets a job in England. Had a very good 4 games at Man United, and I love him. And Josh has said, I love Amorim even more after his post-match interview and press conference. He's not delusional like our previous manager. Yeah,
That's one way of putting it.
Well, so there we go. That's what we think. Chris might still be in the chat, so it'd be quite nice to hear from what he thinks of those managers. I always think Carlos Corberán, is a very, very good manager at West Bromwich Albion, and we will cover him off in a couple of weeks, time, just to discuss with a West Brom fan what they think of him. But I'll tell you what, let's go through some of the results. And of course, your next game, isn't it, Ray? You have got Tranmere, haven't you?
We have, yes.
Yes.
It's a long journey, because we went to Barrow last weekend, had a game at home yesterday, have a game in the FA Cup on Saturday. So we're doing some mileage. I think geography-wise, we're in the wrong place for League Two, because us and Gillingham, I think, must do most of the miles, apart from somewhere like Barrow. So I think if we're not too leggy Tuesday, I would hope to come back with something.
Well, we shall see. We shall see. What do you reckon of Tuesday's match?
To get a message across, I hope Wimbledon well and truly batter us. I think there needs to be a message put across tonight to Mark Palios. I think it's come to the point now where even the people that the less football educated fans would call happy clappers, even they're starting to turn against Nigel Adkins now, and I think he is just a League Two Ten Hag. He's a bit delusional. It's all positive. Even in the game, even in the Crew game where we lost 3-1, and it's probably we conceded the same goal by the same player, the same assist as well, exactly the same position from the same wing, and they were 10 minutes apart as well. And he went, "Oh, but we defended really well." Yeah, just conceding the same goal, exactly the same goal twice in 10 minutes is not defending well. And then we had and then the Cheltenham game on Friday, we had 4 players around one man. He still got a shot off, and he still scored in the 89th minute and still won the game. So I think there needs to be a message put across now. I think losing on a Tuesday night at home to a Wimbledon side that will have come a long way as well. I think a message will be. I think that's a massive message, and I think that'll be a massive indication of what needs to happen next. I follow the club through and through, but I think there needs to be a clear understanding of what's actually happening and what's actually going on.
I was watching Talk TV the other day, and I was watching Jeremy Kyle. I'm not sure why I was watching it, to be honest. It's something that was on, to be fair. And to be honest, Jeremy Kyle said that he hopes West Ham get battered by Newcastle for that very reason. That Lopetegui will lose his job, that it will send a message to David Sullivan and Karen Brady upstairs. And sometimes it does need that. And Atkins, of course, he used to be a physio, didn't he? He did very well just down the road from us with that lot down the M27. We don't say their name either, to be honest, Ray. But,
I know who you mean.
But yeah, I think since he left Southampton, said their name now. After he left Southampton, to be honest, he hasn't really gone to plan anywhere else. He did a good job at Scunthorpe, to be fair. Did a very, very good job at Scunthorpe. We're going to get into, of course, the results as well before we close off the show. But here's a question from Idish. I hope I have pronounced that right. I don't know if that's your surname or if that's a pseudonym on YouTube. Do you think the Salah pen should have been given? Go on, Ryan. Do you want to have a go first?
I didn't see. Is that the Liverpool game today?
Yeah.
Not sure.
Yeah. Me neither. No, sorry.
I didn't see it as well.
No, I didn't see it either.
Not interested in Liverpool.
No.
Let's say from the great wisdom of Twitter, apparently it wasn't a penalty. But as we know, Twitter is full of yeah.
I was going to say, is there any wisdom on Twitter? I don't think there is, is there?
Yeah.
That's what I say.
Go to Blue Sky.
Yeah, I don't think there's any wisdom on Twitter. So yeah, I'm sorry, Dish. You're none the wiser. So yeah, I'll have to watch it on Match of the Day. But let's have a little look at these results as well. We'll just go through some of the key ones from the weekend. There's League Two. As you can see, Fleetwood's game against Franchise was postponed.
You got the name right.
I've kept it up.
Yeah, got the name right.
I'm not putting their name. Yeah, one of their fans, to be honest, once, like we were saying earlier, decided he was going to call me a special. 4-letter word, let's say. When I kind of provoked him, but yeah. But of course, Cheltenham, did beat you. That was on what was that? Friday night. Yeah, Friday night. Yeah. Disappointing game, I guess.
From what I gathered, it was the typical Tranmere thing where if we dominate a game, we lose it. Whereas if we have a really bad game, we do all right. It's like the trying to think what game it was. I think it was Carlisle away. I think they, despite them, they're not doing too great at the moment. I think they dominated the game, but we still beat them 2-1. I think we sort of had that game buried by the end of the first half, really. But the second half, it was a bit, it was a bit touch and go whether we'd actually like hold on to the 3 points, but by the end of the first half, it was like they're getting the shots away, but they're going nowhere near the goal. They're getting up the pitch, but they're getting nowhere near the goal. Luke McGee didn't have anything to do, but yeah, it was. You just feel it's like It's just typical Tranmere. I mean, you've seen it last season, the year before. We come down from League One, and every year we're going lower and lower and lower. We did 9th, 12th, 16th last season, and we're in 20th now. And I can see us staying there. I tell you now, if Tranmere drop into non-league, you'll probably won't see us in the Football League for 10 years.
Oh, come on. You got out of it quite quickly last time.
Took us 3 years last time, and a defeat to that little club in Gloucestershire, which nobody really knows about.
Oh,
but I think with the finances of the club, I just can't see it going anywhere. And that the deal for ASAP Rocky to come in collapsed as well. So with the new owner, rumours have all stopped now. You're not seeing anything anywhere. In fact, the rumours are now is that the club is like going downhill. I think I seen something the other day that Tranmere are making a £3 million loss every year now, which is, despite being previously one of the best run clubs, is just a bit deflating now. So you're seeing the same thing week in, week out.
Palios, though, has always been quite a sensible businessman, though, hasn't he?
He is. I think it is because the numbers on the gate are going down. I mean, what game was it? It was the Newport game. Oh no, it wasn't. It was a Newport game. It was a Saturday game, and it was probably the lowest attended Saturday game I'd seen. Maybe apart from the end of last season, the Grimsby end of the season before Grimsby game, where we had 3,000 on a home game on a Saturday, which is really bad. I think we only had 4,900, and it was just poor. And then the Bradford game, they said we got like an attendance of like 6,000, blah blah blah. Yeah, okay, but then take 2,100 off that because all of them are Bradford fans. The gates are going down, and it's because we've got nothing exciting to watch. It's the same at every football club, but Palios is. Well, at the end of the day, as much as we want Palios to sell the club, I don't think the club would be here without him. He's put bags of money into the club, but I think it's time for a change now.
No, fair enough. I think we've got one of your mates in, Ryan. I think that's up the Terrier.
Hello, Adam. The town, indeed. Yeah.
And he's had a little dig at Bradford. Any adverse weather and Bradford games, home games, will be called off guaranteed.
Yeah, we don't like Bradford. Yeah.
And I didn't know about this as well. How dare Ed Sheeran interrupt Amorim's post-match interview? Amorim didn't look too happy about it. Do you know what? There's a song, isn't there? About how Ed Sheeran used to smoke cigarettes and be up till whatever time. No, he didn't. No, I'm sure he didn't. He was a good boy, weren't he? You can tell. But going back to results, Grimsby beaten 1-0 at home to Colchester. Notts County 0, Newport 0. Not a lot of high-scoring games. Of course, we did discuss, Ray, the defeat at home to Walsall. I'm sure that you'll be looking to put that right on Tuesday night, won't you?
Hopefully, yes. First time I've seen a Walsall team beat us, really, because the last couple of times they've come down to Plough Lane, I think we've beaten them 4-0 and 5-1. But this is a very different Walsall team this season. They look very solid, big and mobile at the back. A guy who wears number 5 for them, Donovan Daniels, he was very good. Not many teams sort of bully our centre forward, Omar Bougiel, but he did that yesterday, and he was very, very effective. And I think they'll be there or thereabouts, but one of the teams that might fly under the radar a bit. So I think it will be, if we finish above them, I'll be more than happy, I think, seeing what I saw yesterday. So I'd like to see us bounce back Tuesday night.
Yeah. definitely.
One of our 3 home wins was Warsaw this season.
Yeah.
And we've only had one of them. Yeah. And I tell you what, it shouldn't have been. I have maybe apart from Notts County, I haven't seen a League Two club play better football than that. They are so good. They're so good with the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And another game in League One, which I went to see yesterday. They're another team that played very good football, which I'll obviously discuss in a minute.
No, fair enough, mate. Fair enough. Well, Carlisle 0, Doncaster 0, Chesterfield beat Barrow 1-0. A bit of a surprising result, but I don't know how surprising this is. Gillingham 1, Harrogate 2. Because I thought Harrogate was struggling a little bit. One team that definitely has been struggling, though, is Morecambe, beating Swindon 3-2. Are Swindon in trouble?
Financially in trouble, aren't they? They're on the verge of liquidation, aren't they, or something like that? I don't think they're as bad a financial state as Morecambe.
Yeah,
but they're not doing too great, are they? I think there's two. I think that the 2 clubs in this league that are really struggling financially at the moment, and obviously Swindon don't deserve to be where they are. They are. As much as I hate to say any club is bigger than Tranmere, they are a big club. And I don't think they deserve to be where they are. And it's sad to see them where they are at the moment.
I don't know where they go from here, because didn't Ian Holloway have the ground exercised or something off after a ghost or something? I think he thought that was going to be the turning point. Clearly, it wasn't, because they lost their home to the bottom club. So I don't know where he goes now.
Only Ian Holloway could come up with that.
Yeah.
Only Ian Holloway could use that as an excuse.
Blame those years in the crazy gang.
Yeah. And of course, there is one game on Monday, Port Vale versus Crewe as well. Yeah. Exercising at the county ground. That was he's a character, isn't he? He's a character, Ian Holloway. Let's go into League One. Bolton 2, Blackpool 1. This is a surprise.
This is the game I was at.
Was it? Go on. Tell us all about it. Tell us all about Shrewsbury 3, Birmingham 2.
Birmingham had 80% possession. They dominated from minute 1 to minute 101. Gareth Ainsworth is probably one of the most animated managers I've ever seen. He was on his knees at one point. He looked like he was crying. But every time Shrewsbury got the ball, they ran up the other end, and they are so dangerous on the counter-attack. I mean, they've got Tom Bloxham. He's a brilliant young prospect. John Marquis, proven in front of goal. And the defenders at the back, Aaron Pierre, Toto Nisiala, what's his name? Luca Hull, or whatever his name is. Brilliant at the back. Their defence, Shrewsbury's defence was brilliant, and they were just so fast coming up on the counter-attack. I've seen Shrewsbury play a few times, actually. I've been to watch a few of their games. And I've never seen them run like that before. It was like watching a whole different team. I don't know whether that's just that new manager boost, but they were so quick on the counter attack. I don't know whether you watched the highlights for it yet, but the first goal was a brilliant free kick that went to the back post. He's headed it across, and Aaron Pierre's done this. Has done a volley, and it's gone in the bottom corner. The other 2 goals were scrappy, but it was the bit leading up to it that made them really good. Birmingham, you can tell Birmingham have spent £50 million in League One. They have got so much energy. They play some beautiful football. I'd even compare it to some Premier League teams, actually. So I don't know whether that was just Shrewsbury making them look good. But I am amazed that Birmingham play football that they do. However, I could say that Shrewsbury fans, quite rightly so and deservedly so, silenced the Birmingham fans. They were very quiet the whole 90 minutes. And obviously on the 21st minute, the minute's applause for the Birmingham pub bombings, and that was nice. All the whole stadium stood up and were clapping. It was really nice thing to see. And it was just, I don't know what it was with Shrewsbury. I think it was a new manager boost, but they played really well in the counter attack. But Jay Stansfield getting a goal, obviously. Iwata getting a goal, obviously, for Birmingham. But yeah, as I was about to say, I'd say Birmingham probably deserved to win it. But Shrewsbury was so well they were just so well structured at the back, and on the counter attack, it almost went Gilead, Castledine blocks him in the box, Marquis, and he was just there, or it went Gilead, Castledine, Marquis blocks him, and it was just all perfectly worked. I don't think I've ever seen a Shrewsbury crowd as loud as that as well. The atmosphere is great.
Fair play to them, because I tell you what, that has got to be one of the best results of the weekend. And in one word, does Gareth Ainsworth still look like he's a rock star? I'm sure he was in a rock band, wasn't he?
He was, yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I was speaking to a Shrewsbury fan, and he goes, I like the attitude of the new manager, but he's just old bloke as well, like really old. I think he must have been in his early 90s. I really, really like his attitude. I think he's no nonsense, but he's a bit scruffy, don't you think?
Any ideas, Ray, what band he was in?
The name of it, no, but I know he was in it during his Wimbledon days, which I think is where his Wild Thing nickname comes from.
Oh, so, of course, yeah. He did play.
He's always been a budding rock star, yeah. Among other things. Yeah.
Well, there was the draw between Stevenage and Leyton Orient. Barnsley 0, Wigan 1. Burton are really struggling, but Stockport are flying 3-0. They won. Crawley beat Rotherham. Steve Evans is under a bit of pressure. Ryan, 2-1 against Charlton.
Yeah, I was there at the game yesterday, obviously. It was obviously it was an okay game. We won. That was the main thing. Mm-hmm. But it was one of those days where we just won ugly. I think we dominated the first half. Obviously, we did go ahead, early on. But then, obviously, they got a penalty. It was a silly penalty to give away. And then they got a sending off, Charlton, just before half time. And that kind of changed it a little bit. Although after that, to be fair, Charlton did look like they had 11 men and we had 10 because they were just coming forward a lot of time. But yeah, obviously we went on to win the game. Obviously a shot from distance. And yeah, happy days. You've got to grind out some wins sometimes. And I was happy that we got the win in the end. And like I said, I thought we dominated the first half, but I don't know how we went in level. And then second half, Charlton just seemed to come forward a few times. They should really have scored probably more than one, to be fair, but they didn't take their chances, and we took 2 of them, so we won. So that's all you can ask. So yeah, happy to get the 3 points. On to the next.
In the playoffs as well.
Into the playoffs. So we're in 5th place now. We've got a game in hand on the teams around us as well. So we play on Tuesday night against Leyton Orient away. So we need to win that. We need to go on a run now because for us, it's the consistency. The consistency is just shocking. We need to go 3 or 4, 5, 6 games winning streak if we can. But we don't need to be able to do that. But yeah, so we're about with 5 points off second. So we've got a game in hand on Wrexham. So if we win the game in hand, then obviously we get closer. So yeah, let's see what happens.
Well, of course.
As long as you get above Wrexham, I don't really mind.
Yeah, I can't stand the Wrexham fairy tale rubbish story. People know that and know me. No, get out of here. No. What a lot of rubbish.
Well, Wycombe Wanderers are doing very, very well. They won 3-2 against Lincoln City. Mansfield hit a bit of a bump, but did start very well. They were beaten 1-0 at home against Bristol Rovers. Northampton 0, Cambridge 0. My dad will be happy. Reading 1-2-1 away at Peterborough. They've been shocking away from home, he tells me. But they did win away from home yesterday. But still, they're waiting for their owner to Foxtrot Oscar, put nicely. Once he does, I think that'll make him even happier than that result. And then, of course, Wrexham 3, Exeter 0 as well. So Wrexham had a good day, and the fairy tale for them continues. But you never know, Ryan. Maybe you can put an end to that.
Yeah, hopefully we can. Yeah. Anyway.
Just quickly, Wycombe Wanderers haven't lost a game since the 12th of August.
12th of August.
They haven't lost a game since the 12th of August, and they have won every single game since the 2nd of October.
I didn't know that. And am I right in thinking that the game that they lost at the start
was
of the
Birmingham?
Season, Birmingham, yeah, I thought it was. Birmingham, was that at home or away?
It was. I think it was. It was at home, and let's say the two losses this season were Birmingham and Wrexham.
That's not that bad though, really. Wycombe are going very,
say
very well.
obviously they've lost in the cup, but they haven't lost a league game since the Birmingham game. So I am amazed.
Fair enough. Well, I'll breeze through the results of the championship because we haven't got any championship fans here. But Plymouth 2, Watford 2, Bristol City 0, Burnley 1, Coventry 2, Sheffield United 2, Sheffield Wednesday 1, Cardiff 1, Luton 1, Hull 0, Mill 1, Sunderland 1. Oxford got absolutely hammered at home to Middlesbrough. I think their honeymoon period in the championship is well and truly over. Preston 1, Derby 1, QPR 1, Stoke 1. And it's not looking too good for Steve Cook. West Brom 2, Norwich 2, and a right battle at in Swansea. Swansea 3, Leeds 4, and of course Portsmouth decided to take some of the sea air up to Blackburn with them, and that game got postponed. Did you see how wet it was up there as well?
No, I didn't.
It was very, very wet.
We've had a lot of weather up here. We've had some bad weather up here.
We've had terrible weather down here as well.
It's been horrible.
Yeah, I was surprised with the wind. That although saying that, I can't say that too much because Nottingham Forest fans will jump on me and say that part of our ground didn't fall down this time. But yeah, against Forest, just for anybody that's not aware, against Forest, well, what the game should have been against Forest, they were in great form, and one of the signs fell down from the football stadium at Dean Court, and the game was postponed to the penultimate game of the season. Then we wanted to get promoted. It was a good night, actually. And finally, Leicester 1, Chelsea 2. To be honest, that's not a terrible result for Leicester. Chelsea are going well. So I'm surprised it happened this week. If that happened against somebody like Everton or Ipswich or someone like that, you could understand, getting sacked after that. But that's what I think with regards.
Yeah, but they're at home. They need to win at home. They need to win their home games, and it's the problem. So
you couldn't see Leicester beating Chelsea anyway, though, could you?
Well, what I mean is that sacking was probably coming for a few weeks. To be fair, it's not just on that game alone. It's over accumulation of a few weeks that not been happy. Anyway.
Yeah. Of course, we were beaten 2-1 at home to Brighton. I don't really want to discuss it, but I just better go through it very quickly. We had the better possession. We controlled the game. We had the more chances. We couldn't convert. Brighton could, and they broke up all their play. But Fabian Hertzler what a good manager. He really did his homework on us. So you could see that everything that was working against the likes of Man City and Arsenal didn't work against us. There you are. What a goal, by the way, by Amari Hutchinson.
Yeah.
I did watch that one. That was very special. Yeah, I did see
Yeah.
that. That was
I'm rooting for Ipswich this season.
I think most people are, aren't they?
Yeah.
Arsenal beat Nottingham Forest 3-0. Aston Villa 2, Crystal Palace 2. Everton bored everybody to tears once again against Brentford 0-0. Gary O'Neill did very well for Wolves against Fulham 4-1. Man City's slump continues.
Best result of the weekend.
I did get asked a couple of weeks back when we played them, after we played them, and, he was like, my guest was like, no, it's not really a slump. I think it probably is now.
It is.
I think it probably is.
And we're loving it. We're loving it.
Yeah,
So I'm loving it.
I was about to say, what's it called? The last game that Pep lost, or Man City lost, it was the first time in Pep's career that he lost 4 games in a row, and now it's 5. So it really puts into perspective the dip that they're having now. And they have, if they're going to have a serious go at winning the title, which they obviously do every season. I mean, they're favourites every season, but they are now Liverpool at 8 points clear after the win at Southampton today.
Yeah.
So they have really, really got to pull it together now.
They're third favourites now.
Get into gear.
Yeah, they're third favourites now.
Yeah.
Liverpool are favourite and Arsenal are second favourites, then Man City is third favourites. So.
Well, Liverpool beat our friends down the M27 3-2, albeit, from what I've seen on X, not that I've seen any of, the game at all.
Any wisdom?
Yeah, to be honest, it sounded like Liverpool had a bit of an off day, but they could still beat Southampton. And Ipswich won, Manchester United won, and then of course Newcastle and West Ham play on Monday. So you never know. Jeremy Cole might get his wish, and they might get hammered. Albeit he's a West Ham fan and he wants to get beat by Newcastle. There you go. Just a few quick comments as well, just before we close off. Ever since Amorim was appointed for Manchester United, City has lost every game. Yep, very true. And did miss this one as well, Josh. I think I missed it anyway, so I do apologise. Nathan Lowe is having a great season for Walsall. 8 goals, 3 assists for a 19-year-old, and 2 goals in the EFL Cup as well.
Well known from Stoke, isn't he? Or someone like
He
that.
is, yeah.
Yeah. So
scored against us yesterday, yeah.
Yeah. I say, no, you know who he is now.
I do, yeah. I do now, yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm surprised Stoke haven't recalled him. I suppose there'll be a clause that says he can't, but I'm surprised they haven't. Stoke signed some really good younger players actually in the summer, like Nathan Lowe, and they loaned him straight out. And then Josh Stokes from Aldershot as well. And they've loaned him out, and they're both doing really well at the clubs they've been loaned out to. So I think there'll be some eyebrows raised by the Stoke fans.
I think what you might find Stoke might do in January is maybe take him out of Walsall and try him in League One maybe and see how he goes there.
That's best, yeah.
If he keeps scoring goals, there'll be League One teams after him. So,
well, thank you everybody for joining us today on this show. Thank you so much for joining us, Ray. It's been a real pleasure. And like I say, we'll do a special show. We'll cover everything with hopefully an AFC Wimbledon player at some point. But yeah, there'll probably be a couple of us. I know I've spoken to Jim from Hampshire as well.
Yes.
Yeah, and Mr. G teaches as well.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. So, hopefully we can get everybody together and it'll be a really good show, and hopefully with Effin, but if not Effin, we can always find somebody else as well. But no, absolutely been a real pleasure having you on. And thank you again, guys, for joining us as well. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, mate, as well. It's been a real pleasure. And Matt should be back next week. If not, you'll have my beautiful face again. That's what I say to myself anyway. But until next time, thank you for joining us, and we shall see you very, very soon.
Okay.
Thank you so much, guys.